can see that the castle's got a curve in basic cannons at the front that come up.
My name is Steven. The tour will take about 30 to 40 minutes. Is it okay? So I'm just going to start here with the brief history of the castle. Why was it built? Who built the castle? And then move from here to other parts deeper inside the castle. Now inside the castle is 5 museums. The museums are not part of the guided tour. I'm just starting inside this museum. So you can always come back, take your time inside the museum. And the castle is used by the military, an Oliver administration offices. Okay, but just begin with, because maybe here, now the Portuguese, they were the first people who discovered the spice route, Vasco da Gama, or the Portuguese Dias. So in those days, there was a Europe, round the tip of Africa, but all the way to India, you get your spices, coffee, and teas in a koi. And the koi were the indigenous people of the Cape. But they used to live like winter months, they moved inland, there's rain, and all this summers, also like semi-nomadic. But you can see behind me the koi in the Portuguese fort, and the koi people attack the Portuguese when it's raining. So the Portuguese can't use their gunpowder weapons because it's wet. So the Portuguese left the Cape, moved to Mozambique, and then the Dutch came in the Cape. Okay, otherwise we're speaking Portuguese. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, the Dutch East India Company, better known as the VOC, the Verenigde Oost-Indische Compagnie, was a very big business company, trading company. This was the first company in the world where you can invest your money or pay out your shares. And it built 104 of its castles all over the world. But this one in Africa was an outpost. So 1652, a man called Jan van Riebeeck arrived in the Cape. And they first built this 4-pointed fort, and this one used to be just in front of the castle. But this one was mainly built out of clay, earth, and mud. You couldn't stand the weather of the Cape. Then only a few years in the Cape, then there was rumors there's going to be a war between the English and the Dutch. So in order for them to protect the Cape against the English, they must build a strong defensive structure. Because if you control the Cape, you control the spices, the slaves, and the whole economic area. So this is in front of the castle. Let me just show you the castle here. Where you come. It's your best defensive design because there's no blind spots. Each corner protects the next corner. But the names of the corners are Leerdam, Buren, Katzenellenbogen, Nassau, and Oranje. These is the names of the 5 corners. And it was named after the main titles of Willem, the Prince of Orange, and he was the ruler of the Netherlands. Then the entrance of the day was not the first entrance of this castle. The first entrance was between these two, Buren and Katzenellenbogen. Because when they built the castle, it used to be on the beach, and the sea, the ocean, was just outside the castle. But during the winter, the seawater used to flood up, block the entrance. And the first governor, Simon van der Stel, wrote in his journal, there was once such a storm in Cape Town, this whole courtyard here was flooded with seawater. So he was the governor to decide, let's close down this entrance and open the one that you use today. You can notice, most of these cannons were facing the sea because they're expecting the British would come from the seaside. But when the English came here for the first time, we can have a look here. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, so the bird is the only took the Cape from the Dutch in 1794-95 to develop Museum. So when the British came here, they just blocked Table Bay, Hope Bay, there's Table Mountain, there's a castle. And they sent the soldiers all around the Cape Point, and the only battle took place here at Museum. And when the British took the advance, when they reached the Cape, they outnumbered the Dutch, surrounded the Dutch, and the Dutch just gave up. This is where the castle was never been under attack today. Okay, so you continue outside, but you're welcome to come back and take your time. First, one step, take it down. Man, bueno, okay. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, before we continue, so to my left, it was the governor's house. But today, this is a collection of artwork, paintings from the 1700. On top is a long table that can seat over 100 people. Single staircase, the Kunda, which means the vice governor. But today is more like a house museum. It just gives you an idea how people used to live. So after the tour, you're welcome to visit these two museums. And what I did for watchers, there's sundials, shadow clocks, there's two of them inside the castle. The first one, you can see the square against the wall with the black stripes, that's the one for the morning. And the second one is here from 10 o'clock all the way till 6 o'clock. But it only works with sunshine, so if it's overcast or at night, it doesn't work. But then they use an hourglass. So every hour, the guards turn the hourglass and ring the oldest bell in South Africa. And the two statues, the one on the left, they call him Neptunus, the king of the sea, and the other one's Mercury, is the king of the messengers. Because they were business people, but they used the sea to do their business. Then each and every corner from the five got staircase. You can see to the left, you can also go to the top and walk on top of the roof of the castle. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, so if you have a quick look on the floor, you can see the Dolphin here, wooden blocks. The only part that roof, because the governor used to sleep on top, his office was behind me. So when they pass here, the horses, coaches make a lot of noise. He complained about this noise and he put his wood to damp the sound made by the horses. Do not disturb the governor. And that section, the castle, is only as part of the military life. It was used during World War I and II by the Royal Navy. So this is a memory of South African soldiers who lost their lives in the First World War. So each year, people would still come here, put flowers here, in memory of those who lost their lives. And the military court, just like outside the castle. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, so first, the reason why the pool is empty, what happened, we used the water that is in front of the castle at the moat. But what happened, we got a big problem with people that live around the castle or walking past the castle. They turn the waste in the moat, the water of the castle. So we can't use that water anymore. So what we're planning on doing now is to put a fence all around the castle and fix everything inside and outside the castle. But this was the governor's private reception. So only the governor, high officials, important visitors would be allowed in the section of the castle. So the first governor, Simon van der Stel, was 30 years the governor. So he built this pool here for his own pleasure. He called it the Dolphin pool. He used to have a private garden around the pool. He got a love for plants and trees. There's a town called Stellenbosch. It's named after him, Simon van der Stel's Bosch. Then a building around the pool, they call it the head bakeries. It's just a bakery where they used to bake the bread. What happened to the pool in the building, none of this is original. Because when the British came here, took over the Cape from the Dutch. They decided, but they need a pool, they need this building. They demolished everything. They took everything in the ground to make a bigger way for the British troops to exercise. But there was a lady in Barnard. She just sit on this balcony, making sketches and paintings of the pool and building. So on her sketches they saw that there was a pool, and only in 1985 they came back here, opened up the ground, found the evidence, and with the first renovation work of the whole castle, they reconstructed the section again. Maar de tijd is er van de kant van Sint en restaurant. So you do your parties, weddings, concerts inside the castle. Okay, let's go back to the torture room. But afterwards you can still like walk around, take your time there. The Dutch use open island as a person. They were the first people to use it. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, before we continue, inside the torture room, the castle got 2 courtyards. We started with the first one, we're standing inside the second one. But the Dutch, they used to call it the head wapenplaats, so the name just come from weapon inspection. So solo sailors used to come here, inspect the weapons, do the exercises. But notice the colors of the windows and doors are all green, except the building in the middle. So why they painted red? Because there is gunpowder, ammunition there. So they had to warn you, do not smoke with fire. The top floor was sleeping quarters. Middle floor is a big storeroom. You can see the big doors in the hooks. So there they got on a rope over the hook, pull it up, and swung it in. Ground floor is mainly used for stables, for the horses, and workshops. But as the settlement developed, some of the activities have moved outside the castle. Okay, let's go in here. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, so the room we now standing in was a torture room in the room on the left, the dark room. It was only used by the Dutch from 1679 till 1780. But the law of the Dutch was, if you commit a crime, you must admit guilt, confess before they can decide what is your punishment. So they bring me here, torture here until they admit guilt. But they can't point everything out, how they should torture the people. There's many ways and methods, that's going to point a few out. For example, tie hands to the rope, behind their back, pull a rope on their feet, there's a rope on their feet, around this hoop. While they're here, the whipper whips, there's one of them here, the cat with the 9 tails. There's the chains against the wall, the tie hands and their feet with the chains. Whip at your back from 40 laces to 120 laces. They used to have a thumb screw where they pull the nails out. So in this side is your punishment. They send you to Robben Island to work as a hard labor. But when they hang you, that penalty. They never hang the people inside the castle, always outside. And the reason for that is they would leave your body there for a few days to like a warning for the other people. Okay? Good. Okay, last thing. Pass it down. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, so after the torture room, to a big into the dark hall, you luckily we get food and water, and once a month, take all the people from here, read the sentence for them in front of the governor's house, and execute them outside. But I'm just going to quickly close this door for us, switch off the light, so you can just see what is the light for them, just to give you an idea. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay. If you look up, you can see the opening. So it's an only air light coming in, but sometimes it closes there, and it's always like this way. Okay. And keep in mind that the accused must admit guilt. So imagine yourself sitting in the dark like that, hearing screaming sounds coming from the torture room. They confess quickly, is what put the rooms next to each other. And most of the people here was runaway slaves, disobeying their masters, and anyone who steals up against the company, they would put here. So behind you, this open doors, also the Kamisa Museum. It tells you about the indigenous people. You can visit afterwards. You can go up to the top.
Hi Jess, my name is Jaden. I'm working here at the Kamisa Museum. We'll be preserving our cultural heritage and telling our stories in our way. You know what I mean? So, if you look over here, you can see there's many ways to define us. We are diverse people, right? So, the reason why we call ourselves Kamisa is because we're trying to decolonialize the term color, right? So here at Kamisa we come from 195 different streams of we have 195 roots, right, here at Kamisa, and all of those roots are classified under different terms. We are so separated. So the Kamisa is basically trying to bring all of that in one, as bringing unity, right? So the real word of Kamisa, actually the root of the word Kamisa comes from the Ora word, which is Kami Isa, which means sweet water for all, right? So the Kamisa River used to run from Cape Town right down to the foot of Lion's Head, right? So that river has been forced underground by colonialists, and that is basically a symbol of our heritage, our culture, our ancestral heritage, how it was basically covered up by colonialism.
I'm just going to bring you over here so you have a quick view of some of the corners in the shape of the castle. So first corner straight to my left is a flag on top, here down. Second corner in front of me, Uran. We're standing on Katsen Allenbogen, and the back is now south and the right is on the other side. Now the first entrance of the castle was between these the view and Katsen Allenbogen. So everything behind you used to be seawater. But over the years, the Dutch, they claimed the land by using all this rocks and sandstone from the mountains around and just put it up. And you can see by the crane standing tall, the red and the white, behind a big building to the harbor with this place. And the mountain in front of me, signal wheel, everyday 12, is down by again and there. To the left, Lion's Head, Table Mountain, and Devil's Peak. So you can see the only way enemy would attack them if they come from the seaside, because the mountains protect them from behind. Okay, let's go around here, just careful to the time. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, so this was a jail for themselves, but it was only built in 1786. So after they stopped torturing the people, they built cells to keep them here. So I'm here to take you to the court, if found guilty, to take you to Robben Island. So the door to my left in the corner is you can wash, the water, the clothing, 2 doors in front of me, 5 to 10 people in one room. The rooms to the back, those are the darker ones, solitary confinement. In the halls to the hall, you get your food too. 15 to 20 on the right, and the last one is keep for single persons. The writings, inscriptions on the doors was made by them. On top used to be open. 3 guards on top and 2 guards in front. This glass is protected for the wind, for the rain, for the dust. for the protection of the whole war. Second quick level crown, it was last used in the Second World War. Last, that is a big one up there.
side. Yeah. Now, how many chairs?
Are there any questions from your side? So, if you guys have no questions, you're welcome to go back to the Portuguese Museum on my left. Single staircase is more like a house museum. This gives you an idea of the to love. The Governor's House, this is the oldest collection of artwork in South Africa. At the end of the building, on the left, is the Cape Heritage Museum. Then each and every corner, from the 5 staircase, you can go to the top of the castle. So you love to give me a small donation, it's totally up to you. Bathroom is on the right, and comes up on the right. Okay, so thank you, buddy.
Thank you.